Hi, I'm Ilya from Game Changer Audio, and welcome to Auto Series Explained, your complete, comprehensive guide to everything you need to know about our Auto Series effects pedals. This is going to be a deep dive, so get comfortable because we're covering it all. The pedal's unusual design, all of its hardware features, all of the knobs and the blinking lights and buttons and switches and all of the patch cables in between. We'll break down things like control voltage, parameter automation, and signal tracking. And along the way, we'll be demonstrating all of these concepts with real sound examples, starting from subtle and kind of practical settings, all the way up to experimental and sometimes even ridiculous patches. The central idea behind the Auto Series is the concept of real-time parameter automation. So instead of thinking about an effect as something that's either on or off, with parameter automation, we can create a gradual and fluent relationship between our playing and all of the individual effects parameters. Each Auto Series pedal offers 3 great-sounding stereo effects engines, all developed from the ground up here at Game Changer Audio, and there are 4 main parameter control knobs on each pedal, such as modulation rate, delay repeats, reverb decay length, etc. And each one of the controls has a dedicated corresponding patch cable input. You can think of these patch cable inputs as individual expression pedal inputs for every single parameter on the front panel. But instead of having to manually write the values with a foot pedal, these parameters can be continuously automated using a special type of electrical signal that's called a control voltage. While there are other pedals on the market that also offer control voltage compatibility for controlling different parameters with external gear such as synthesizers and so on, what truly sets the Auto Series apart is that it also features a fully customizable set of control voltage generators, the dynamics tracker and the pitch tracker, and they're essentially giving you all the necessary tools to create your own control voltages based on your playing and then to route them into your parameters all in one place within the ecosystem of one individual pedal. The dynamics tracker analyzes the level of the incoming audio signal, essentially turning your picking strength or playing dynamics into a CV output of various strength, depending how you configure it. And you can always see that displayed on the left LED bar here, which is the dynamics output bar. Meanwhile, the pitch tracking engine is analyzing the frequency content of the incoming signal, and it's capable of producing a various range of control voltages based on your note choice or on the overall brightness or darkness of your instrument. And this is also represented in real time on these pitch tracker LED bars. And generally, the darker or signals or the lower notes are on the bottom of the bar, and the higher input is on the upper side of the bar. Each one of the signal trackers can be set up and configured in a variety of ways. This includes changing their range and sensitivity, and there's also different behavior modes for different control voltage use cases. And there's also 2 identical control voltage outputs per tracking engine. That means that you can fully utilize the 4 control voltage inputs on every pedal's front panel. Or you can, alternatively, for example, take a copy of a control voltage and send it elsewhere, such as a piece of external modular gear, or into another auto pedal. All incoming control voltages can then be further adjusted on the input side using these 4 smaller automation knobs. Here you can adjust the parameters sensitivity to control voltage And you can also adjust the direction of the control voltage. For example, here, I've turned it all the way counterclockwise. When the parameter starts receiving a CV, you'll see a blue light appear here, which means the parameter is being turned down. The Auto Series Patchbay and patch cable design is obviously inspired by the world of modular synthesis. Each auto pedal comes with a full set of cables that can be patched in over 100 different unique combinations. 143 patching combinations for one pedal, to be precise. And when you add all the possible parameter controls on top, the amount of possible configurations for a single pedal becomes truly astronomical. At the same time, whenever you've found a patch that's useful and fits your needs, there is nothing that needs to be saved or loaded up from a menu during startup. You simply leave the cables in place, switch the pedal on, and it's always ready to go. And the physical shape of the pedals and the pedals knobs is what keeps the patch bay protected. And of course, the patch cables make it easy to patch across multiple pedals or even across a whole variety of semi-modular instruments. For example, I can use an external control voltage signal from a sequencer or an LFO, and we can use that to control the mix parameter on the auto reverb. Or we can do the exact opposite, which is taking one of the pedal's CV outputs that's generated by our playing and using that to control pretty much any parameter on the external semi-modular synthesizer. In this case, we'll be taking the pitch CV that's generated by the auto chorus, and I'll plug that into the filter cutoff parameter on this sequence. So you'll see that if I play a higher note, the filter is going to open up. In fact, the amount of connectivity here indeed is pretty much endless. I can even use my guitar playing to control the visuals behind me. So for example, let's take this cable and let's plug out of the dynamics output on the auto reverb. And now I'll connect that to the Auto Series logo behind me that's projected on the wall. Now, let's take the pitch CV out of the auto chorus, out of the filter from here. And again, I will link that to the video background color with a special connection I have set up under the table. So that's being routed to the computer. So, as you can see, the Auto Series can definitely be the centerpiece of your cross-platform or experimental setup. And we will do a deeper dive into semi-modular patching and external gear in a separate episode. But for now, let's take a look at some of the simpler and more practical guitar-oriented patches. So this is my clean sound. And now let's start off by just switching on the basic chorus effect. This is all knobs at 12 o'clock. So we'll dive into the sound qualities of the chorus and all other pedals in separate videos. But for now, let me show you some interesting automation ideas that I personally like. For the chorus effect, let's create kind of a dynamically responsive chorusing layer by first turning the level of the effect all the way down and using the dynamics output connected to the level knob. And here we have the automation knob increased. When the auto mode is switched on, the amount of chorusing effect depends directly on how hard I hit the strings. And it's up to me how I set up this threshold point, which is kind of the moment where the control voltage starts automating the parameter. So I think now I can set it up slightly higher, and that gives me like a bigger amount of headroom that I can play in without triggering the effect. So as you can hear, that creates kind of like this interaction between the strings and the effect, and I personally really like it. And then obviously you can adjust and fine-tune the threshold point and the amount of the effect that's being blended in. And what we can also do is we can take the second output from the dynamics and patch that into the effect's rate control. So we can set the rate at a slightly slower setting, but when we start hitting the strings harder, the rate is also going to temporarily increase. So something like this. So this way, we still get the chorusing effect, but we're getting rid of that repetitive, just always on kind of chorusing sound, which is really, really cool. By the way, what we can also do, we can invert the effect. So now I'll take the level back up, but I'll use the level automation knob to invert the relationship. So now quiet notes are going to have the chorus effect, and the louder notes are going to kind of peek through the effect and kind of stay clean. So next up we have the auto delay, and here's the basic kind of delay slapback sound. What we'll do now is we'll use the pitch control voltage output, and we're going to use that to automate the amount of repeats. So turn on auto, and now whenever I play higher notes, then the number of repeats is going to increase gradually. So that's pretty awesome, and that allows you to accentuate those like screeching high notes. What we can also do is we can again double up on this and route another one of these patch cables from the pitch output into the delay level knob. Essentially now, whenever I do a high note somewhere, you get the idea. And naturally, we can also adjust these automations in many, many ways. So for example, I can set the number of repeats to infinite. So now a high note just is going to stay like that until I play a lower one. And now onto the reverb. Here's our basic reverb sound, which is the Hall algorithm in stereo. What I'm going to do now is let's try and combine both dynamics and pitch automation. So first thing I'll do is I'm going to link the playing dynamics to the level knob, allowing me to create like more signal send on like louder strums. So and now, what we're going to do next is we're going to add some pitch automation. And let's set the pitch tracker to the note mode, and we're going to just calibrate for a specific note. So this B here, as you can see, is producing a control voltage. And then as soon as I move away from it, these LEDs kind of go dark. This is the main idea behind note mode, which allows you to dial in control voltage in a very precise way. So there's different ways to do that, and we're going to explore that in detail in a further video. However, for now, we're just going to take this one B note here on the 12th fret, and we're going to use that to fully open up the amount of reverb decay. So as soon as I play that note, so the trails just go on and on. And now let's take a look at some more experimental settings. One of the cool things about the auto chorus and all the auto pedals is that we kind of tried to make all of the parameters go to their absolute extremes. So, for example, here, I got the auto chorus in the flanger engine, and what happens when I increase the level and the depth of the effect is that the effect becomes quite turbulent. And the same goes for the rate knob, which goes into audio range quite quickly. And when I turn it all the way down, the effect is parked, which is a beautiful thing to have, because kind of have this resonance point, and when the effect starts moving again, we can park it at a different spot. So to automate that kind of starting and stopping of the rate, what we can do is simply use a patch cable from the dynamics to the rate knob. So this is going to be our rate that's going along behind the scenes at a certain tempo, and as soon as we hit this threshold point, we're stopping the effect, but now every time we stop it, it's going to be at a different point in the cycle. And we can use another cable here to also accentuate that parked position by simultaneously turning up the feedback control. So now So now we get this kind of weird formant talking effect. And by playing around further with the rate knob, we can take the effect also to new, more extreme places. When it comes to the auto delay, you don't really need to look very far to find an experimental sounding setting. All you really need to do is to find a way to somehow modulate the time parameter on a delay with a lot of repeats. So in this case, I've got it set up on the digital algorithm, which is providing me clean delays. And by the way, the delay buffer is really long, so it goes up to 2 seconds. Now I'm going to just modulate the time from the pitch CD. So, as you can see, this gets pretty far out pretty quickly. However, as you don't always have to go to such extremes. You can also do a very gentle time modulation. So, for example, just to show you that it doesn't have to be crazy. And in fact, by doing a gentle time modulation, you achieve kind of a realistic warble, tape warp effect. And I put it back to tape mode, and check this out. But let's go crazy. So now for the auto reverb, let's explore another cool feature that's present in all three of these pedals, which is the functionality adjustment switch for the level control. As you can see here, the level knob can control the amount of input signal that goes into the reverb effect. So kind of like this. So even if I turn the level down, we still have the trails ringing out, because this meant that the signal went into the reverb engine and the reverberations are still going. But we can also switch it to the mix mode, where the level control kind of blends between the fully wet signal on this end and the fully dry signal. By using automation from either our pitch information or from the dynamics, we can kind of creatively blend between a fully dry signal and a fully wet signal. And that, of course, leads you to many, many different strange experimental kind of paths. So let's start off with the pitch automation. Let's set ourselves a center point. Now everything higher than this note is going to blend over to the fully wet signal. Okay, so we can invert that relationship by turning the pitch dial all the way down. So now everything lower than the calibrated note. And we can also try automating that from the dynamics control voltage output. So let's turn that to gate mode. And now what we can do to get seriously experimental sounds is to just switch everything on, all the reverbs together with the delays and the choruses. Thank you for watching this video, and we hope that this introduction has given you a basic idea of how the Auto series works and what makes these pedals so unique and special. In the following episodes, we'll be diving deeper into the specific elements of the Auto series, exploring each pedal's full sound palette, and seeing how far we can take these automation concepts and modular connectivity and what it can do for our sound. So stay tuned and enjoy this journey of experimentation and parameter automation.